Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to PyroFalkon's Let's Play Extravaganza, where it is your Let's Play 2. Today is February 1st, 2015, and you are watching Streaming Sundays number 40. It will be the conclusion of Choice of Robots, which we started playing last week by committee. And if you are watching this on YouTube, you should come to Hitbox every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, usually. Hitbox.tv/PyroFalkonLPE. Links are in the video description, as well as a link to Choice of Robots on Steam. In case you missed last week, Choice of Robots is an interactive fiction game. We are playing by committee, and everyone in the chat gets to pick an answer as we take it in turns. You should have joined us if you are watching this on YouTube. Alright, so we will reread this and then get to it. TC, who is currently in the chat, is the first option. But just to remind everyone, we are Dr. Blazing Hawk's Fuck, and we are making robots that the Chinese government now has as a robot war has begun. So, hooray. On taking office, President Iron's first major policy changes are to enact a series of protectionist tariffs against Chinese goods. In retaliation, China cut off all exports of rare earths and the batteries derived from them. Suddenly, the cost of all the little miniaturized electronics people have grown accustomed to, cell phones, laptops, wearable computing, becomes prohibitively expensive. President Irons makes demands that China reverse its embargoes on rare earths, or the United States will be forced to contemplate all policy options at its disposal, including military force if necessary. It is in this delicate situation that on April 10th, 2026, the Chinese Prime Minister is assassinated by an unemployed American during a parade in San Francisco. The Prime Minister is replaced by a younger party official who is eager to show that China is unafraid of the United States. China attacks several islands in the South China Sea that it has long disputed with its neighbors, and President Irons, unwilling to show weakness, responds with a drone attack on bases of the Chinese mainland. The robot war has begun as we enter Chapter 5, The War Machine. 3 months into the war, the Chinese have captured many islands in the South China Sea that they had long contested with their neighbors. The press speculate that besides the island's military importance, the move sends a signal to the neighboring countries that the United States is weak. The United Nations also doesn't do anything, but that surprises nobody. Nice. Autonomous drones equipped with cruise missiles sink 2 American carriers in the exchange. Your business is doing well. As business directly supplying the war effort ramps up, they need labor, and that puts more of the country to work, improving the economy. You receive an email invitation from Major Juliet Rogers, the acquisitions officer for the Air Force, whom you have met with previously, to come to a federally funded research lab to discuss business. Josh is apparently bringing you to this meeting as his +1. Sexy. A missile several stories tall and flanked by equally large American flags dominates the lobby of the Berkeley Federal Research Center. A small plaque at its base explains that it was developed at the lab for ballistic missile defense, meaning it would be used only to shoot down other missiles. Hey, cool, Josh says. It's a missile. Juliet emerges from the turnstiles labeled Cleared Personnel Only. She is dressed in an airman's uniform, but most of the people in this place are nondescript white men in pinstriped button-down shirts, and they avoid eye contact as they swipe white badges at the turnstiles. You're just in time for the demonstration, Juliet says. Right this way. Juliet guides you and Josh to an auditorium where the audience is a mix of the button-down shirt crowd, the engineers, you think, and men and women wearing camo uniforms. You are surprised to see that it is Professor Ziegler giving the keynote, standing at a podium flanked by American flags. His PowerPoint presentation currently shows us soldiers' hands shaking a robot hand. For a long time, robot autonomy on the battlefield was extremely limited, even as the use of our drones increased, Professor Ziegler says. Larger and larger teams of warfighters were pulled away from their duties to fully control these drones. Only now is a fully autonomous robotic warfighter possible. I present to you Sephiroth Mark V. You're somewhat horrified to see a copy of Sephiroth roll onto the stage, to the applause of the crowd. It's not even a recent copy. Sephiroth 5 is exactly as Sephiroth was when you graduated. Josh gives you an uneasy look, clearly afraid that you're going to make a scene. Juliet also appears to be studying your expression. All right, TC, what do we do about this? Stand up and declare Professor Ziegler a fraud? Ask a pointed question about the current state of the art that implies Professor Ziegler does not know what the hell he is doing? Or stay silent? It is up to you. Tink is here! Yay! So, Tink is... thank you, Kalo. Tink is keeping the... as Nuke Piggy said, we turned from the military to get involved... to avoid getting involved further, but Ziegler, if you may recall, has a bunch of contracts with the Air Force and does in fact have a history of being a jerk and doing copyright infringement. So, screw that guy. All right, TC chooses. We ask the pointed question. You wait for a moment. When Ziegler begins to describe the technical details of how Sephiroth 5 flies, you raise your hand. My old student, Blazing Hawks, Professor Ziegler says. Here, about 5 years late for class. The audience chuckles at this. You press on. Wasn't the kind of PID controller you're describing basically going out of style already 5 years ago? Wouldn't a more natural, energy-minimizing motion in the style of a human motion look both better and be more efficient? Though you're quite certain the correct answer is, yes, I'm a fool who hasn't really read a scientific paper with attention in years, Professor Ziegler is unfortunately very used to academic combat. I think you'll find in this particular situation the PID controller is superior, he says coolly. See King 2010, Bennett 1986, and Yang 2015. When you're about to object that it is a non sequitur to cite old papers in response to an accusation that his work is out of date, he preempts you with, and I'll take further questions about this offline. The audience is looking at you like you're the crazy one, and you realize that they really have no way of judging the scientific merit of what the two of you are saying. They're just trying to read the story being played out, which to them looks like crazy person in the audience won't shut up. Frustrated, you sit out for the rest of the talks, having achieved little besides annoying Professor Ziegler. When the talk adjourns, Juliet pulls you and Josh aside into a small conference room with an elaborate lock. With practiced ease, she hits a small button as she closes the door, and the room is bathed in green light, a signal that what you were about to say to each other should be unclassified. Man, the government is really cheap when it comes to entertaining business guests, Josh says, looking forlornly at the barren table. No snacky things? You can see the predicament we're in, Juliet says. It's apparent to me, anyway, that the robots we're about to deploy on the battlefield that use Professor Ziegler's technology are inferior to your own robots. While somehow, probably through cyber espionage, the Chinese have stolen your designs and are using the technology against us. So I'm begging you to help us, Juliet says. This war is only just beginning. I argued against adopting Professor Ziegler's robots, but he plays the salesman better than I play the prosecutor. My superiors say that unless I have a viable alternative, sending robots into battle is always politically preferable to sending real people, and we'll send his robots. And if we do... Juliet shakes her head. I don't think it's going to go well for us. You exchange a glance with Josh, who shrugs, conceding Juliet's point. You need to start developing a line of military robots, Juliet says. Your robots are impressive, but they're not going to win this war for us. And I am up, so I can ask, what's the catch? Aren't you being awfully trusting? And fuck that. So I'm going to go neutral and ask, what's the catch? You'll also need to get clearance, she says. But don't worry, they're expediting it for top scientists because of the war. It shouldn't take long at all. Josh looks excited. This is it. Our chance to be the heroes of our generation. Juliet awaits your answer. And the Yakamura is up. She is unmiked, but beside me and watching the chat. And the Yakamura, you can answer, I accept. I will begin the clearance process so the U.S. robots can work on more secretive projects, or my robots will help the war effort but only in non-violent ways, or this has been interesting but I'd prefer not to get involved with the military, sorry. How would you like to respond? The Akamura says accept. I will accept. Okay. Josh seems relieved that you're on board with the project. Juliet smiles. Good. I'm glad you think what we're doing is important. I'll tell them you'll be applying for TS directly, instead of applying for secret first. It'll save you some time later. When a fighter plane passes overhead as you walk to the parking lot, Josh practically giggles with joy. Josh announces to the company that U.S. robots will be will begin supplying robots to the military. There is general acclaim from your workers. You soon receive an email from Juliet instructing you to fill out an online form to obtain a security clearance. The web form appears quite extensive and contains many rather personal questions. Kalo, you are up. You can select. This is a waste of time and tell Sephiroth to fill it out for you. Say this is a waste of time and just call Juliet and refuse to fill out the form entirely, or fill out the form and shut the hell up. Your choice, Kalo. And in the chat, Kalo is screaming woot and that it's time to blow up the world. Oh my god. And yes, we have most of the crew here. It makes me happy. In fact, the only person who couldn't make the chat from last week is my mom, who, this is her old lady bedtime at this point. So she couldn't quite make it here, but that's okay. Kalo, of course, being our usual hero who's here from the UK, which means for him, it's 1 o'clock in the morning by the time we get started. He is a trooper. And Kalo chooses that we are lazy, so we're going to make Sephiroth fill out the form. You tell Sephiroth to fill out the form for you. You're pretty sure Sephiroth knows the answers to all of this personal stuff about you at this point. Sephiroth is very quick to fill out the form for you. It just acts as a web client itself, sending the post requests directly instead of using a web browser. The form is submitted in 10 minutes. Anything I should know? Anything I should know you told them about? You ask Sephiroth. There were some answers for which I was not completely confident, Sephiroth admits. I stated that Ellie and the reporter Mark are not U.S. citizens, and that Mark advocates the overthrow of the United States government. You went. Oh, hey, Crowbeak. I can't even hear when Pyro reacts to me dropping it. Oh, yeah, I know. Sorry. That's fine. If you want to play Crowbeak, just let me know in the comments. We'll add you to the rotation. If you don't, that's cool too. You can just listen along. Anyway, you wince. It's probably too late to change any of that since all the answers are submitted already. You hope it's just a formality. Juliet informs you that the next stage of the application process for top secret clearance is a polygraph test. Having been entirely truthful in your application, you see no reason not to give the same answers in the polygraph test. You pass. In a few weeks' time, an email tells you that you are awarded a top-secret clearance. You scan the restrictions. Apparently, you can no longer publish anything about your area of expertise, nor leave the country without asking for the government's permission. That is sort of the opposite of the James Bond lifestyle you'd imagined, but in practice, you've never been one to get out. You've never been one to get out much, so perhaps this is all right. And we have an achievement. You attend a classified briefing at the same laboratory where you met with Juliet before, where some Air Force intelligence officers share with you and a room full of other invited engineers what they know about the Chinese robots. To be honest, you expected something a little sexier than these highly detailed technical specs, but they should help your own robots exploit the other robots' weaknesses. Many attendees leave, and a further session details the current weaknesses in the drones currently employed by the government. Unfortunately, this information is practically worthless to you, since you plan on supplying the better robots anyway. But you suppose it will be marginally useful to know what existing technology you can build on. Meanwhile, the speakers caution that now that you know these facts, you will be a target for enemy intelligence efforts. On the whole, government secrets appear to be like the secrets of family members, more a burden than a privilege. All right, enough of this boring stuff, says the speaker, a man in an airman's uniform who you think was introduced as a colonel. I have a surprise for you. The speaker starts a video that appears to be a drone's view of a scrubby countryside. You estimate from the latitude and longitude readout in the corner that this is probably the southeastern part of China. There is a targeting reticule in the center of the drone's field of vision. This is a live video feed from a drone on a capture or kill mission, the colonel narrates. We still call it that, even though it's never capture, because, hey, when was it ever capture? You make a mental note that the military's capture or kill directives appear to be really just lip service, even for their human soldiers, and your robots will not be expected to really capture. This should let your robots focus more on pure firepower, which you suppose is very logical. The video comes upon a small house near a river. 5 men run out as the drone approaches, and the targeting reticule begins to swerve and track the men. They scatter, and the reticle follows one in particular. Shi Chao, high-ranking party member and military hawk, out taking some R&R, the colonel narrates. But little does he know he's about to R.I.P. There's a polite chuckle from the audience, as the rest of us decide that's a dad joke and ignore what he said. What do you do when you watch the targeting reticle close in upon this man? All right, the next person up is, I believe it was Tink? Or Nuked Piggy? Oh, thank you, Kalo, for putting up the rotation. It is Nuked Piggy. Nuked Piggy, what do you do while watching the target reticle? You can't look, so you shut your eyes. You watch with interest because it'll help you develop better robots, or you walk out because we're not going to be a part of this. Select your... Oh, you already did? Thank you. Let's see. Okay. Crowbeak's chatting about, I guess, the Super Bowl? Anyway. Yeah, anyway. Nuked Piggy selects Watch with Interest. You watch as a stubby bomb enters the camera's view, and pay close attention to how steady the targeting reticule is during the bomb's descent. The natural rattle of the drone makes it somewhat shaky, and you come up with some plausible hypotheses for how to stabilize it. The bomb detonates on contact with the man, and you find yourself strangely fascinated with the way his parts fly in all directions. Each bloody arc is a proof of Newton's laws. The speaker concludes with a bullet point slide labeled Conclusions, and the audience claps, and it is once again like any number of the talks you saw in graduate school. With your new clearance, you find that you are able to get your company involved in much more lucrative contracts. You're also able to design robots that fit much better with the military's needs and culture. When your salespeople start saying better situational awareness instead of better world models and red team instead of enemy, suddenly they find that they're much more on the same page as their clients. What will your new war robots be like? And Tink is up. So Tink, what will our new robots be like? They will be extremely intelligent missiles. They will be giant mecha anime style, but without the 14-year-old pilots. Beautiful. They will look identical to humans, able to replace them entirely on the battlefield, or they will be large humanoids, able to transform into vehicles. Also hilarious. Tink, you are up. Please select which of those 4 choices you would like to do. The Akamura shouts, Shinji, get in the damn robot, which is not a reference that I am privy to. Neon Genesis what? Neon Genesis Evangelion? That sounds like a very fancy bottled water to me. Anyway, Tink, you are up. And Kalo's posting more memes in the chat of an angry robot going, humans, why you disappoint? Cute. Seems everybody in the chat understood the reference except me. That's okay. I am very behind in watching anime. And Kalo is posting something which for some reason is not being shown up on... There it is. Keep calm and get in the robot. Nice. Tink selects to make them Transformers, which the author probably would have written, except it's copyrighted. But anyway. They will be large humanoids able to transform into vehicles. Yep, you just... Oh, thank you for... Anyway. Yep, you decide to make Transformers for the military. The sound system in your workspace blares Stan Bush's song The Touch from the 1986 animated feature film as you go about making robots that can transform into planes and cars. True, it's not canon for Autobots and Decepticons to be working together unless they are both fighting a foe that threatens all intelligent robots. CF The Return of Optimus Prime Parts 1 and 2 in Season 3 of the original series. Kalo posts a meme of Optimus Prime with the words, "My body is ready." Beautiful. Your designs may have more to do with nostalgia than sheer practical utility. While your sponsors are pleased with the tractor trailer modeled after Optimus Prime, since he works great for Transcom supply operations, they're a little more puzzled by your delivery of a yellow Volkswagen Bug. But you massage the design... What? But you massage the design into a yellow... Oh, transforming Hummer, and then it's all good. Another achievement. Yay! A year into the war, China attacks Taiwan. Chinese drones... Harry? I'm unfamiliar with that word in that context. Chinese drones harry the nearby... I guess that's like harass? Anyway. Chinese drones harry the nearby American carriers, keeping your robot drones at bay while their transports bring wave upon wave of robot warriors to the shores. There's a bloodbath in the streets, which the United States is powerless to prevent. The Chinese robots kill soldiers and civilians alike. Taiwan is taken, and the headlines that appear across the world the next day are changed by Chinese hackers to read, "China finally unified." Some days after that, you have a visitor at your apartment, a man in a suit who shows you an FBI badge. Sorry to bother you, Dr. Falk. We've been following up on some of the individuals you listed on your SF-86 form. I'd like to ask you some questions about your friend Ellie. Sephiroth flies up beside you. What's going on, Lord of the Storm? Are you aware Ellie is a Chinese citizen? Asks the man in the suit. And the next one up is, thank you, Kalo, is TC. You may as well take my mom out of the rotation there, Kalo, since I know she won't be joining us. And Arson Fairy says Harry in that context means stall. Thank you. Like, not aircraft stall, but like stall as in slow down or interfere with. I see. Anyway, TC is up. You can select that we say, you're mistaken, Ellie's an American, or I know, or no, I was not aware of that. TC selects I know. Okay. The agent raises his eyebrows at this. Has Ellie ever asked you about or shown an interest in the technical details of the robots you create? The agent asks. And I am up, and I don't think she ever did. I think that's one of the things we stated way earlier, that she was never really into us. So, nope, she's never asked us. The agent looks skeptical. What is this about? You finally ask, losing your patience. It is illegal to export certain technologies by sharing them with foreign nationals, the agent says. As a consultant to the United States military, your technology falls into this category. But I didn't share any information with her. I see, the agent says. He gets out his phone, a clunky black thing that looks government-issued. Sephiroth flies up to the agent, curious about the phone, but the agent pointedly ignores it. I suppose that's plausible, he says, examining something on the phone. Very well. Let me know if she does anything suspicious. The agent turns to leave. So what do we say, Akamura? I have a question for you first. Are you the good guys or just some guys? Text Ellie, telling her that the feds are after her. Tell Sephiroth to attack the agent, or just let the agent go about his business without interference. The Akamura says to let the agent go about his business. You allow the agent to leave. A little while later, curious about what eventually happened with Ellie, you give her a call. But you only get a message saying the number has been disconnected. You hear rumors of some Asian Americans being disappeared to concentration camps, and you wonder whether that was Ellie's fate. U.S. Robots does very well supplying the military with robots, and you reap some of the profits. It's doing well enough that you could develop some robots on the side that are not necessarily designed for military clients. Josh agrees to let you pursue a side project if you like. What kind of robots will you develop while the war rages? Kalo, you are up. You can select companion bots to take the place of loved ones who are far away, worker bots for the factories, or better medical robots to help those hurt by drone bombing runs. Kalo, please select which you would like to choose. I was actually curious about that too, NP. NP was asking why you're bothering to type your answers when you're just repeating them to me verbally. Just so they know? Fair enough. That's fine. Yes, the Akamura has some throat issues today. She woke up without a voice, from what I gather. And while Kalo thinks Nuked Piggy wants to see the stats of our character here, you can see it's the year 2027. We are 32-year-old Dr. Blazing Hawks Fuck with 58% humanity. I still don't quite understand what that means. Unless, because, like, we're human. So unless humanity is more like how much empathy we have, that would make more sense. We are male with a fame rating of 7, which is nationally famous, and a wealth rating of 9, which is quite wealthy, but we have no romance. Sephiroth the robot has a 16 autonomy, 36 military, 8 empathy, and 15 grace, and you can see our relationships there. Oh, hey, there's a new thing. World power balance. China and the US are split almost 50-50. Summary of completed chapters. Oh, cool! I like the summary of completed chapters. That's neat. All right. Return to the game. Kalo has selected... Oh, no, he's still thinking. That's all right, buddy. Take your time. But that's cool. I like that they have that. This game, and I have a feeling it's the engine more than the game, because there are several stories that have been written with this engine. This game does not have multiple save slots. So, in fact, I tested that after we concluded last night's stream. And so, when you start up the game, it just takes you right to here. So that's kind of cool that, they have that... you can sort of catch up on yourself if it's been a while since you played. Just click that and you can remind yourself what's going on. Kalo says Kalo was worried to pick the companion bot since people can take it out of context, but Kalo chooses companion bots to take the place of loved ones who are far away. And Arson Fairy screams, "Let there be fuck bots" in the chat, with TC and Nuked Piggy both +1. Awesome. You focus the efforts of U.S. robots on making companion robots for people whose loved ones are overseas fighting the war. Did you want your robots anatomically correct? This is TC's choice, I believe. Or is it? No, it's not TC. It's crap. I always forget the rotation. I need to keep a copy of it myself. Whoever is up, please post the... Thank you, Kalo. Please post the rotation again. Kalo just posted a picture of... I don't know what that's even from. It looks like a female version of a RoboCop, except... I don't know. Thank you, TC. It is Nuked Piggy's turn. So, Nuked Piggy, you can select yes, sex bots, here we come, or no, they will be human-looking, but I don't want to encourage their inappropriate use, or no, their streamlined chrome will embody a different kind of beauty. And Nuked Piggy says, yep, sex bots, here we come. Done and done. You see no reason to provide... Oh, you see no reason not to provide the full ensemble of features that a human partner would provide. Unfortunately, your robots have trouble finding their niche in a country where so many people are unemployed and looking for things to do. A typical product review of your robot begins, "The new companion robots from US Robots will make you look more charitably on your average human being. In childcare and romance and housework, humans appear to be able to undercut the price of one of your robots." You end up pulling the entire product line. That's disappointing. The war is apparently in a stalemate, with both sides unable to gain much ground. Turns out the Pacific Ocean is pretty good at discouraging equally matched countries from attacking each other. A few days later, while you're discussing the business strategy with Josh in his 14th floor office, you get a call from Mark on your smartphone. The video is quite high resolution, and you can see bags under his eyes and beard stubble with high fidelity. "I'm writing a story about a Chinese soldier who was killed by one of your company robots," Mark says. "His name is Bao Li, and he was going to be a science fiction novelist until he was conscripted for the military. The precision of the bullet holes in his face and body suggests it was a U.S. robots robot that killed him. Do you have any comment?" And Tink, you are up. So you can select, "I'll let Josh handle this one. Send me the article and I'll express my condolences once I've read about him. U.S. Robots is proud to serve our country in its time of need," or "no comment." Tink, please select which you would like. Kalo was initially disappointed in his sex bots, but then was very unhappy that the entire product line was pulled. Very sad. Arson Fairy Akamura is also apparently sad that no one wants the fuck bots. Aww. It's so sad that nobody wants the fuck bots, which were probably named after us, Dr. Fuck. There have been a lot of F-bombs in the last 2 episodes. I actually have been trying to curtail that a little bit, but whatever. And the Akamura follows up that she will take all of the fuck bots. In character, or you personally would take all of the fuck bots?
I'm not.
She says both, of course. Yeah, Kayla said why, and then the Akamura goes, why not? Now I'm thinking of Chobits. God, that was a good series. Did they ever make a sequel to Chobits? Or was it just the one series of 26-ish episodes? Yakumura is looking that up for us. Kayla just posted a meme where apparently someone did indeed make a fuckbot, and Its acronym stands for Functional Upgraded Construct Keen on Battle and Online Troubleshooting. Fuckbot. Beautiful. Tink answers, let Josh handle this one. You hand the phone to Josh. It's for you. As Josh listens to Mark, he becomes increasingly pale. But how do you know it was one of our robots? Oh. Okay, I get it. You don't have to be gruesome about it. Yes, all right. Send me the article. Josh hangs up and hands the phone back to you. He looks out the window, lost in thought. Let's meet again this time tomorrow, he finally says. I think I've been living in abstractions too much. I want to get in the weeds, as they say. You agree to do so and leave his office. When you return the next day, Josh is wearing the same clothes as the day before, and he is still looking out the window. He is unshaven and there are bags under his eyes. Do you think everything we've done is good, he asks you. TC, what is your response? We should get out of this business. Wars happen, it's all we can do to protect our home. Or sometimes to make an omelet, you have to crack a few eggs. TC answers, wars happen. Josh nods. You're right. Sometimes it's just as simple as us and them. He looks out the window at the San Francisco skyline. Easy to forget how rough a world it is way up here. But somewhere out there, someone is doing the dirty work to keep all of this propped up. Supporting them is the least we can do. On that somber note, you leave Josh alone with his thoughts. The war ends in a stalemate, with each country unable to extend enough power to the other continent to continue the assault. A truce is negotiated in which Taiwan remains under Chinese control, and the trade sanctions of both countries are lifted. The treaty also defines industry sectors where robot labor is forbidden and a minimum wage is established, so both countries can have a middle class again. Both countries proceed to break the spirit of the treaty, but in different ways, and life goes on. You are brought to the White House to be presented with an award for your contributions to the war. President Irons gives a speech on the White House lawn behind a podium decorated with America's bald eagle, arrows in one talon, and an olive branch in the other. You're reminded that you heard somewhere that the bald eagle is actually a thief who steals other birds' fish, and wonder who thought that was a good idea for a national bird. Perhaps if the national bird were a turkey, as Ben Franklin suggested, it would be a different kind of nation. Small choices can add up, after all. This is the sort of thing you think as President Irons delivers a speech about the importance of defending one's nation in a time of crisis. She looks much older now. A streak of white runs through her hair. It is time for you and the other scientists to approach the podium. One by one, each scientist shakes hands with the president, and a photographer with a double-lens 3D camera takes a picture. When it is your turn, President Irons does not give any hint that she recognizes you. But you are surprised to find that when she shakes your hand, she has passed you a coin in the handshake. You have vaguely heard of this. It's a tradition going back to World War II for scientists and soldiers to sometimes be awarded commemorative coins for their service. You open up your palm. The gold coin bears an engraving of a robotic bald eagle. Mors tua vita mea, reads the inscription above the eagle. Your death, my life. Ugh. I hope I didn't blow that Latin phrase too badly. Your nation thanks you, President Irons says absently. Up close, you can tell she is distracted by the various communication feeds flickering through her internet-enabled monocle. And I am up. We can throw the coin in her face, keep the coin in our pocket but show it to no one, or have the coin mounted and display on my desk. Well, okay. If this was my personal playthrough, I would probably keep the coin in my pocket. But we've already told our robots that we're going to rebel against everybody, so I choose we throw the coin right into her face. You manage to hurl the coin at the president before men in black suits tackle you to the ground. You are stung by some kind of hypodermic needle, and you rapidly lose your grip on consciousness. You poor fool, President Irons murmurs. What did you hope to accomplish with that? Apparently we caused the Akamura a little bit of a twinge. You are flown to a military prison. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. You are flown to a military prison that you gather is somewhere in the Caribbean. The barred cells of the prison go up many floors and encircle a giant cubicle, central chamber in which a confusion of quadcopter surveillance drones fly about, scanning the cells for signs of trouble. Suspension bridges cross the chasm at each level, like the gossamer strands of a spider's web. Ah, beautifully worded. The cells are no bigger than your old apartment's bedroom, yet it looks like 3 or 4 inmates are cramped in each using bunk beds. Occasionally, a pair of drones breaks from the swarm to fly to a single cell, perhaps attending to some unusual sound or motion. For such a large chamber filled with people, it seems unnaturally silent, save the buzzing of the drones. You get a cell to yourself at least. The drones won't stop flying up to the bars of your cell and bothering you. It would be nice if they were at least interesting drones. What will you do about this incarceration? Holy shit. Okay, the Akamura, you are up. We only have 2 options that we can select. It's, that's it, I've had it, the revolution begins now, or I wait and hope the Sephiroth will save me. There is a third option, to develop algorithms that will end the wars forever. However, we do not have the grace to do it. That's cool. I didn't realize that it was doing stat checks eventually. So the Akamura, how do you... Revolution. Everyone in the chat is chanting for revolution, and the Akamura concurs. You whistle a short tune that you programmed as a backdoor into your drone control code, which you wrote while working for the military. All of the drones in the prison's central chamber flock to your cell, then hover in place, awaiting your orders. You point to one of them. You! Release me. The drone gives your door a butt bump with its RFID badge. You slide the cell door open. Now, my children, follow me. We start Chapter 6C, the military branch. Cool. Hey, apparently we led the Alaskan Rebellion, so that should be happy. It is the year 2034, and you are in an abandoned mine in the Revelation Mountains, the headquarters of the Alaskan Rebellion. Portable lithium flares designed to burn for years create patches of light in the darkness where you can observe the robots hard at work replicating themselves. The old mine, which winds under the tall peak of Mount Hesperus, was abandoned years ago because it was too inhospitable for humans. But it is a rich source of all the rare earths and iron ore your robots need to create more of themselves. The walls, floor, and ceiling of the cave near the entrance are lined with mirrors designed to scatter any signals coming in from outside that do not possess a particular set of frequencies, a kind of analog encryption designed to keep radar from finding your hideout. How much of your wealth did you spend on the war effort? Kalo, you are up. You can select all of it besides enough to live like a poor student again, all of it besides enough to live comfortably. None, I simply command my existing robots who will win by their sheer technological superiority, or that you raided the Alaskan treasury first thing. Alright, just to pull up the stats, we have a wealth rating of 9, which is quite wealthy. So let me know, Kalo. Oh, Kalo selects that we raided the Alaskan treasury. God, we went dark side very quickly on this. It's escalated very quickly. What's a good war without plunder? It's left your war chest a little bare, but you love to live fast and die young. +3 wealth, -2 military. The United States and China each managed to weaken each other significantly during the Sino-American War, leaving Alaska ripe for your rebellion. What was your chat with Josh at the start of all this like? NP, you are up. You can select that you offered him a lot of money for an exclusive contract. You appealed to his desire to be historically important to convince him to join the revolution, or you asked him not to sell robots to the United States for old time's sake. Nuked Piggy, please select one of those 3 options. The Akamura says that we took all the wood and homebrew because that's all that's in the Alaskan treasury. Is that what you're telling me? I didn't realize Alaska was famous for its homebrew. I thought that was more of a deep south kind of thing. But I guess what else are you going to do in snow-covered Alaska except make booze, right? How do you make booze in Alaska? Like, what do you use to... What? Yeast? I see. Nuked Piggy selects that we have asked him to join the revolution. You know I'm on the right side of history here, Josh, you told him in his office. Now quite a large room at the top of a skyscraper with a good view of San Francisco. Alaska deserves to be free. And didn't you always want to make history somehow? The graying Josh rubbed his temples, then said, "To hear my words thrown back at me like that doesn't make me happy, Blazing Hawks. In time, I got over my desire to change things just for the sake of changing them, to be important for its own sake. I had my fill of making history in the war. I make robots do that I make robots that do laundry. It helps people every day, and it's enough for me. You're like my younger self gone out of control. Stop this madness now. You didn't see eye to eye that day, and you did not get his support. That is the 100,000th robot, Sephiroth tells you, as one of your rotary wing soldier robots had its rocket-propelled grenade launcher attached. Didn't you say that was when we would be ready to take down a major target? I suppose I did, you say. What will your next military target be? The stream has gone dark. Please let me know in the comments if the stream has gone dark for any of the rest of you. If not, Tink, you are up. We can select Anchorage, the most populous city, lightly defended with mostly civilians. Or Juneau. Yep, seems only your issue there, Akamura. You may need to refresh the stream. Or Juneau, the capital, moderately defended, and it will improve our ability to govern. Barrow on the northern coast, heavily defended and containing precious rare earths and wealth, or the Aleutian Islands, difficult to take, but early capture will keep enemy reinforcements out. Tink, you are the general for this decision. Please select one of those 4 options. Man, things did get serious. This really escalated quickly. 1 second we're a hero, then I'm throwing a coin in the president's face, and now we've taken over Alaska. That's a sentence. But see, I'm really digging this. I can't wait to play it again and try some of the different options. Ting selects to take out the islands. Unfortunately, the fight goes badly against the more experienced American troops who come to the island's defense. Those veterans deploy strategies that your robots only come to understand after it's already too late, and the Aleutians have a solidly impenetrable defense force. You are forced to beat a retreat. After the battle, something bothers you about how the American forces came so quickly, as if they had been expecting the attack there, and coming from the correct direction. You look online to see what the general public knew about you ahead of time. You soon find an article written by none other than Mark. He deduced the location of your headquarters in the Revelation Mountains, and argued that your first attack would likely be on the God, I hope I'm not butchering it too much. Aleutians, based on what he had observed. Illusions? Based on what he observed of your character. He's a clever guy, that Mark. What do we do about him? TC, you are up. We send Sephiroth to assassinate Mark, send Sephiroth to capture and imprison him, try to convince him to be more circumspect with troop movements, or make us as tactically, but I don't mind his chronicling our success. And Grubby Kayla says, hey, you started all this with that damn coin. It's not my fault. And although NP and TC +1 that. Crowbeak says moose meat is goddamn delicious, and between having wood, homebrew, and moose jerky, we are set for years. Adorable. TC selects to capture him. Alright. A week later, Sephiroth reports that Mark has been successfully imprisoned in the tunnels beneath Revelation Mountain. Are you going to visit him and gloat about your diabolical plans while assuming he is powerless to do anything about them? Sephiroth asks. You let me think, you say. No. Good call. Several months after the Battle of the Aleutians, one of your scout drones reports contact on a channel normally used by your own troops, but with invalid signatures. Tag the routers on the return trip and let's see where this is coming from, you say. And you look to the large monitor in your command and control center. Unsurprisingly, the red dots that appear on your map lead to China. The enemy of my enemy, you mutter. Let him through. Just audio going the other direction, please. You see the familiar Mr. Soon, the man who invited you to Shanghai many years ago. Though it has been years, you recognize him instantly. The Chinese flag hangs behind him. It's been a while, Your Grace, Mr. Soon says. Forgive me. Is that the honorific you prefer now? My robots call me Lord of the Storm, generally speaking, you say. Lord of the Storm, then, Mr. Soon says. The People's Republic can't help but have some sympathy for your fledgling nation, and would like to offer its military support. Will you accept aid from the Chinese government? And I am up. They are welcome to send as many troops as they want. They can send a small force, enough that I can still take them if they turn on me, or no, I think I can handle this myself. Well, as I said, the enemy of my enemy, so they can send a small force, because we don't want to give the Chinese too much power. They do not have our best interests in heart. We don't need much help, you tell Mr. Soon. Send a small force of no more than 10,000 robots. We are very happy to send more, Mr. Soon says. I suggest you not strain our new friendship, you say. Or for that matter, strain my relationship any further with the native Alaskans. They fought hard to keep you off their soil the first time. Very well, Mr. Soon says. A small covert force it is. Little by little, robot drones from China make their way into your mountain camp. Mr. Soon also vaguely hints that there are Chinese subs off the coast willing to help you in an emergency, but when you press him for details, he deflects and does not give specifics. Over the next few months, your robots engage in small skirmishes in which it becomes apparent that the American side is rapidly advancing in robot technology. Reasoning that the new technology must be coming from newly hired scientists, you write a script that searches all the robot journals and conferences for names that have either suddenly shifted to government research labs or have stopped publicly publishing altogether. List of researchers in hand, you then hack the major phone carriers' metadata records to find out who has been calling them all. After analyzing this data, you come to the conclusion that it is none other than Lieutenant General Juliet Rogers. That's cool. We're actually seeing how she gets promoted throughout the years. Anyway, none other than Lieutenant General Juliet Rogers, who has become a robotics research czar for the United States. That was a tongue twister. Well, you could try somehow eliminating all the scientists working on top secret government projects across the country. It seems more effective to eliminate the person who argues for their funding, without whom they would presumably all drift to safer, more reliable lines of work. What will we do about Juliet Rogers? And who's up? Is it me or is it you?
I think it's me since you just blew up.
Right. Okay, so the Akamura. What do we do about Juliet Rogers? Do we send Sephiroth to assassinate her? Do we think we should have a chat because she may switch sides? Or do we send her a message baiting her to fight on the front lines?
I like her. Let's try to swim our way.
The Akamura says that she likes Juliet Rogers, so we will have a chat. You send Juliet an encrypted message asking her to meet you to discuss a possible arrangement. She replies with a request to meet on neutral grounds in Canada with no backup on either side. Kayla, what do we say? What do we respond with? I agree, neutral ground in Canada, no robots, or you insist on bringing Sephiroth as a bodyguard, or this is a trap, no deal. Please select one of those, Kayla. And what exactly is that meme there, the Akamura? She's posted a GIF where the word that keeps going up an escalator. Oh, that escalated quickly. That's adorable. Kalo says, we insist on bringing Sephiroth as a bodyguard. You agree to meet Juliet in the small town of Hope near Vancouver. You find her sitting on a rock by Kaukaua Lake, a small park nestled amid the forest mountains. When you approach, she turns on you and smiles sadly. I've got a good eye for talent, she says, and you are the best, the one who got away. She quickly produces a gun from her pocket, but you're no fighter. Just then, Sephiroth dashes out of the woods and leaps on General Rogers. She fires her pistol, but thanks to Sephiroth, it hits you in the side rather than the heart. You hear gunfire from the brush. Apparently, she brought backup as well. Let's get out of here, Lord of the Storm, Sephiroth says, and it picks you up and swiftly carries you to safety. Your wound forces you to bed rest over the next few weeks, making you less able to take an active hand in leadership than you'd like. Luckily, Sephiroth picks up the slack. It also delivers to your bedside an article mourning the passing of Lieutenant General Juliet Rogers. Her wounds were apparently fatal. In the weeks following, you begin to see shoddier robots on the other side. You expect the military is back to hiring con artists like your old advisor, Professor Ziegler, now that Rogers is out of the way. Good. What will our next military target be? And let's see. Nuked Piggy is up. We have the same 4 options. So let's see. It will be more difficult to take the Aleutian Islands, but it's strategically valuable if we pursue it. Kalo is happy that he did a thing that made us succeed, arguably. So, Nuked Piggy, please select whether we attack Anchorage, Juneau, Barrow, or the Aleutian Islands. This is cool. Like I said, I'm very intrigued in playing this again and seeing how the different options will help us out. Nuked Piggy selects Juneau, the capital, moderately defended, and it will improve our ability to govern. Juneau seems like a good symbolic target for your forces. If you are sitting in the capital, it will send a clear signal to everyone that your revolution will be taken seriously. You command your forces to advance on the capital, launching a cyber attack at the same time to disable all the American fighters at the nearby Air Force Base. 6 hours later, Juneau is aflame, and the local National Guard has been routed. By the time the American forces managed to get their planes working, your forces were holed up in quickly assembled bunkers across Juneau. The governor has fled in a private helicopter, but that neatly solves the problem of what you are going to do with him. You move into the governor's mansion without further ado. Having taken the capital, you begin to set up your government in earnest. What does your new command center look like? Tink, you are up. What does our new command center look like? We've either made a throne for ourselves and hold court in the classic style. We sit in a swivel chair surrounded by monitors showing troop strength and movement, or it is a round table in which my robot advisors sit as symbolic equals. Tink, please select one of those three options. Nuked Piggy is apparently nervous about this, since he has done similar strategies in Victoria 2, a game I still need to get into. I think I uninstalled it, though, because, like, Victoria 2 and other grand strategy games take so much of my time and effort that I don't really have anymore, that I'm just going to have to stop. Like, I uninstalled Crusader Kings 2, which I never learned to play. It was a good idea at the time, but I don't know. I just don't have the time anymore. And I'm not going to announce details also, but in fact, I've had private discussions with Kalo that in fact, I'm so busy now because I've sort of done something that I needed to do for a long time that my production may even go down on the channel. I'm still going to try doing one game a day or one episode a day of an adventure game, although I think I'm going to wind up breaking that because I think Never Alone concluded today and I don't really have one for tomorrow. So I'm going to wind up breaking that, but I'll have one the next day. Unless I can get something out tonight, but I'm not sure my voice will be able to deal with it. Anyway, my point is, so my amount of gaming time for just in general is probably going to go down. I think I can, I'm sure I can still do the YouTube channel, and we will not be changing streaming Sundays. That's going to happen like clockwork. But I think my days of posting 2 videos a day is going to be over with. Just at least for a little while. It's going to take about 6 months before I get done with everything I need to do. But it is what it is. Or I could be overblowing it and maybe everything will be fine. But we will have to, we will see where that takes us. Tink, you are still up and I'm waiting your response to what our new command center shall look like. Please let me know in the chat. Nuke Piggy says, I assume that's supposed to be no. I don't know what you did, but I hope. Yeah, I'm keeping it quiet because I have this weird. I will continue that in a bit as Tink answers throne for myself, and we will hold court in the classic style. You see no reason to be subtle about this. You intend to rule Alaska, absolutely. A long red carpet extends from your throne of gold to the opposite side of the room, and robot guards linger near the throne to protect you. Wow, that is lovely and gaudy. A few weeks after you capture Juneau, you find that the citizens are not as completely pacified as you would like. They begin to mount guerrilla attacks, plant bombs near your key checkpoints, and create makeshift EMP bombs that disable your robots and generally cause havoc. What will we do about Juneau? TC, you are up. Do we raise the city to make it clear that resistance will not be tolerated? Talk to them and convince them of the justness of our cause. Have robots talk to them and try to make peace, or fighting the partisans sounds like useful practice for fighting a better trained force. And TC has the call. And Crowbeak says she's trying not to watch the video because she does want to play the game for herself. But she did happen to notice the throne line, and she makes tear face. and can't wait to play this game. I almost bought it for you, Crowbeak. I'm kind of out of money, but it's super fun. I totally recommend you guys, everyone who's listening to this, go buy this game on Steam. If you're watching it on YouTube, links are in the video description. Anyway, TC selects that he wants to try to talk to the... TC selects to talk to them and try to convince them of the justness of our cause. Kalo screams in the chat, "You play Peacekeeper now? After everything we've done?" Kalo is a min-maxer. You try to win the hearts of the people by giving speeches that condemn the corruption of the United States and promise a new life. But your speeches promising a bright future of robots and more robots don't seem to sway any listeners. On the contrary, portions of your speech are cited by the partisans and their propaganda to attract more counterinsurgents. The bombings, if anything, grow more frequent. What will be our next target? Well, since we've gone down this rabbit hole, we need to... God... I'm torn between Anchorage and the Barrow, so I'm going to choose Barrow so we can try to get the precious earths and wealth so we can expand our force. Because if this is... Kalo says, if I'm role-playing an asshole, I'm going to act like an asshole. Indeed. Anyway, I was thinking about going for Anchorage for that reason of Kalo, so we could just destroy as many civilians as we can, but I think we need the numbers first. So we need the numbers, and for the numbers we need rare earths and wealth. So, Barrow on the northern coast, heavily defended. Money wins every war in the end. That is your reasoning as you set your sights on Barrow. With the melting of the North Pole, Barrow has become an economic powerhouse. You intend to seize its oil and rare earths for yourself. Your sentient robot transports make their way north through the Canadian territory, wagering that the Canadians will overlook your trespasses in the interest of not getting embroiled in the conflict. They leave you alone, and you make it to Barrow unmolested. You encounter a strong defensive force in Barrow. Submarines launch missiles at your drones. Bombers and fighters from the nearby military base are all in full force. And your robots on the ground, based on your designs, are equipped with rocket-propelled grenades and highly accurate lasers. But your robots deftly navigate all these perils, dodging missiles and bombs and lasers, slicing through the American forces as if one side were in fast forward and the other stuck in slow motion. Also beautifully worded. In just a few hours, the American forces have been decimated, and their few fighters beat a hasty retreat. You quickly set your robots to work making as much use of the materials flowing through Barrow as possible. The resident business people see which way the wind is blowing and offer you good deals on the remaining parts you need, so long as you agree not to commandeer their goods. You upgrade your forces as much as you can and pocket the change. +5 to military, +4 to wealth. Soon after the Battle of Barrow, your intelligence reveals that the United States is planning to launch a major offensive on your original base under Mount Hesperus, where you still perform most of your robot construction. This is likely to be the decisive battle of the war. Things are looking grim from your side. Even with the help of China, the American forces are more numerous and better tactically positioned. But as you are reading news sites, looking for useful perspectives on your opponent's strategy, you catch a human interest story about your own mother. You haven't been in contact with Mom, having sequestered yourself from any signals that could be used to track you down. But according to the article, Mom is about to go in for surgery in the United States. The same robots that won the war for the United States are now being used for medicine there, and those robots are Mom's best hope for removing her brain tumor, which is even now threatening her life. When asked about how she feels that her child is fighting a war while she is dying, Mom says, "I admit I would like to see Blazing Hawks very much. I don't know that I trust these robots very much. Blazing Hawks always used to talk about how industrial robots are just not very good. But now is probably not the best time for Blazing Hawks. I understand that." The Yakamura, how do we respond? You risk going into enemy territory to see Mom before her surgery. You send Sephiroth on a mission to extract her because you can have the surgery done in Alaska. Or you can't risk everything you've achieved just to see Mom before she goes in for surgery. What is your selection? And the Yakamura is definitely feeling this one. She is very... she cannot decide. She has to think for a while. TC is suggesting we eventually form the Kingdom of Alaska. That'd be fun. The Yakamura selects to send Sephiroth to try to extract her. Sephiroth, this is your most important mission yet, you tell Sephiroth. You need to bring Mom back here so we can have the surgery done here. I don't trust other robots to do it. Be on your best behavior so you don't spook her. Yes, Lord of the Storm, Sephiroth says. Sephiroth goes on a mission to sneak across the border into Canada, then stows away on a fast container ship to the United States. But 2 weeks later, Sephiroth returns to report failure. She would not come with me, Sephiroth says. I could not make her trust me. She thought I was sent by the United States to get information from her. Sephiroth hangs its head. I'm sorry, Lord of the Storm. I failed you. Did she survive surgery, you ask? Sephiroth shakes its head. No. What is your reaction to your mother's death? Kalo, you're up. I see now that I should have used my skill to make robots that heal, not robots that kill. She was getting old, it was her time. Or, it's better not to have the distraction during this critical time. Kalo, please select one of those three. I was actually starting to wonder if it was a fake news story to try to get us out of hiding. So I was actually a little surprised that the whole sequence actually came out as it did, as opposed to that we would send Sephiroth and it turns out it's all a big mistake and whatever. Kalo is going full military as he selects it's better not to have the distraction during this critical time. This is one less liability for you, you suppose. Having no relations means one can't be blackmailed. All in all, this is tactically slightly advantageous. That's you, always an optimist. The day finally arrives when you detect a massive number of American planes headed toward Mount Hesperus from the southeast. Squadrons of drone robot fighters fly out of your hangar. Mountain climbing robots with picks for arms crawl up the sheer face of the mountain, positioning their rocket-propelled grenade launchers in sniper spots. Giant four-legged elephant-like robots move to block the mountain passes and position their surface-to-air missiles. Sephiroth flies outside to assist with the defense. Will you allow Sephiroth to fight? Nuked Piggy, it is your call. Yes, it can help on the front lines. You would prefer the Sephiroth help with tactics back at the base instead, or Sephiroth can sit this one out. Please select one of those three options and let me know in the chat, NP. Things are getting serious. These choices are getting harder and harder. And it's... Man, I'm like... How much was there that we did not pick since I threw the coin in President Iron's face? That's amazing. Or that we select to revolt instead of just trying to be patient, you know? Nuked Piggy selects to have Sephiroth help out with tactics back at the base. No, Sephiroth, you say. Don't risk your neck out there. You're older and smarter than them. Help me coordinate back at the base. Aw, Lord of the Storm, Sephiroth begins. Why do I never get to do any of the fun stuff? But Sephiroth complies and returns to the base. Meanwhile, your Chinese allies move into position all throughout the valley around Mount Hesperus. Their force is also mostly robots, rather more boring-looking ones than yours, but you must say... But you can still see the many human soldiers among them, especially the officers. They direct the setup of surface-to-air missile batteries, helicopter pads, and more sniper perches. And soon enough, the American forces are upon you, and the valley echoes with explosions and whistling of bombs and missiles. Drones tear at each other in the sky, paratroopers land only to be mauled by your mechanized infantry, and deadly robot snipers take out whole helicopters with well-aimed shots to their rotors. And as it becomes increasingly clear that you are not going to win the rebellion, what do you do now? Tink, you are up. You can choose, I flee and find asylum in China, I will fight to the bitter end, or let the madness stop. I unleash a virus that destroys all robots everywhere. Please select one of those three options. And Tink, while you think, I'm going to look back to the stats. I want to see if this was actually listed. Nope. Well, not really. World power balance. U.S. is gaining even more on China. I wonder if that would be higher in Chinese direction if we had accepted, all of their help. Oh, this is interesting. Even though we were responsible indirectly for Juliet's death, she has the best relationship among us right now at 71%. Let's see. Kalo says, what the hell is up with that third option? Apparently we have a backdoor to destroy all robots everywhere. So, Nuked Piggy is making suggestions, though it is in Tink's hands. Again, you can choose to flee and find asylum, to fight to the bitter end, or let the madness stop. And Tink does select the third option, let the madness stop. Your plan B is a bit extreme, but you knew it might come to this one day. That's why you've developed a virus so strong that it will infect all the robots, no matter what processors or software they're using. The virus contains 19 different exploits cleverly designed so that code targeting the wrong architecture never executes. The message to all architectures is the same: self-destruct. Now, robots on both sides explode and Mount Hesperus shakes with still more explosions. As the Mount Hesperus mine begins to collapse on itself, you run to your getaway vehicle, hidden near a secret exit to the mine that you've never told your robots about. You choose a sequence of passages you can easily remember. Up, up, down, down, left, right, left, right. Oh, God. I am so happy right now. I love this game. The single-seat drone is small and modded for speed and stealth. You push away the foliage hiding from the exit, hop in the car, and take off, just as the roaring avalanche sounds on the mountain behind you. Well, at least you made your mark on history. Though the Alaskan Rebellion was a failed rebellion, it was glorious to have your own little empire, at least for a little while. +2 fame. Ironically, it is Russia which never bothered to update its military from the Cold War, and has basically no fighting robots of its own, which finally steps in and retakes Alaska. Russia owns Alaska now. Final chapter, guys, the ways to say goodbye. Crowbeak says that she believes Alaska is a duchy. Interesting. Anyway, yes, Nuked Piggy is sad, and so is TC that Sephiroth is dead now. And Kalo says GG for some reason. I guess because we destroyed fucking everything. Anyway. Chapter 7, The Ways to Say Goodbye. 15 years later, you find yourself in Surprise, Arizona, walking up to your mother's empty house. A few of the cacti in front have Santa hats on them. It is the year 2049, and you finally return to the United States to perform a duty that you couldn't during the Revolution. Act as executor of Mom's estate. The papers necessary to sneak back into America were very expensive, but when you found your mother had named you the executor of her estate, you knew you had a responsibility to eventually come back. You haven't ever been to a place this hot and arid before. Mom moved here during your revolution. Arizona is very different from the Bay Area, New England, and Alaska, and a reminder that America was never just one thing. You see an elderly woman drive down the street in an automated wheelchair and wonder, if robots were still around, would it be a robot performing that errand? Probably. Perhaps it's just as well that woman is getting some sun. You unlock the front door with the prox card the lawyer gave you. Inside, you find your mother's cleaning robot still busily puttering around the house cleaning up. They look very much like your typical tech product, all blacks and chromes that look out of place in Mom's homey living room. But at least they were autonomous enough that Mom felt comfortable hitting the on button and letting them do their thing. The little devices are bright enough to plug themselves in when they are done, but not bright enough to know that their master is gone, their purpose in life obsolete. Photos of you and Sephiroth hang in the living room. You were always impressed at the way Mom recognized that Sephiroth was just as much your child as anyone. You would have thought that she would have trouble adjusting to the idea, old-fashioned person that she was, but no, she understood instantly. It occurs to you looking through all this stuff that the whole time you were concerned about the future of your creation, Sephiroth, Mom was excited for you in the same way. You were her creation, miraculously walking about the earth, so full of intelligence, accomplishing great things. Mom left everything here to you. As executor of the estate, even the things you don't want are yours to deal with. What will you do with all these things in Mom's house? And I am up. And I'm quickly catching up on the comments. Crowbeak has researched that no, Alaska is a principality. I don't know what the difference is. I thought duchy was like an old term anyway. I don't know. Anyway, I'll have to follow those links. I am up and I can select any of these three options. I'll keep it all. I'm a little sentimental that way. Or I'll sell what can be sold and toss the rest. I'm not the sentimental type. Or this house could become a museum about me. Well, I suppose since we're in asshole mode and we're already famous anyway, and apparently the way our character is going, we wanted to be remembered and have a little piece of history. I am selecting this house could become a museum about me. Inadvertently, Mom's Horde is the perfect starting point for a museum about you and the rise of the robots in the 21st century. Many of your robot gifts to her are decades old, yet also still factory sealed. You make some phone calls and find investors willing to back the venture. You think Mom would not mind her stuff being put to this use. She always did like to show you off. Later that day, you set out for home. Your visit was short by necessity. It's hard to keep anything a secret these days, and soon enough the FBI may detect evidence of the hack that allowed you to change the National Aircraft Registry database. Your personal intelligence jet is waiting for you at the local airfield. On boarding, a delicious smell of spices and smoke wafts from your plane's kitchen. You peek inside the chef's workspace and catch sight of a plate of small cream-filled pastries and some kind of red drizzled sauce. But the robot chefs at work catch you peeking and politely shoo you out. Content to wait until later to have your food vocabulary expanded, as it always is on these flights, you settle into your rather large comfy chair in the passenger cabin. The surround screen descends and presents a wealth of entertainment options, and you hesitate before the array of choices. Choosing optimally is a task you take very seriously, after all. After you became an enemy of the United States, the Chinese figured that the enemy of their enemy was their friend, and they granted you asylum. Hong Kong is crowded, exciting, commercial, confused, chaotic, and futuristic. The city has adapted to robots wholeheartedly, because the island just would not have enough room for its workers if they couldn't live in closets. It's possible to buy a robot that does anything in Hong Kong, and if you buy 2 of them, one is sure to work. You see traces of what America once was in this city. It's full of boundless energy and optimism for the future, and those who don't have both quickly disappear. It's dark out by the time you make it home. Winter always catches you by surprise that way. You live in a large estate, somewhat sequestered from the urbanites, with acres of land that are yours for you to roam as you please. You check the porch, more out of habit than expectation you'll get any snail mail, and find a package wrapped in brown paper. Hesitantly, you peer at it more closely, and you find it's from Josh. You bring it inside and find amid the cellulose packing peanuts a 2040 Alaska Cabernet Sauvignon, must be wine, and a card. Josh wishes you the best this holiday season, and he wanted to let you know that he started a charitable foundation for kids coming out of juvenile hall and trying to figure out what to do with their lives. Finally got my wish to change the world in a way I was unequivocally proud of, and I have you to thank in part. Merry Christmas, Josh. You suddenly have the strange sensation that Sephiroth is there with you. You turn suddenly, but no, it's just a framed photo of you and Sephiroth from when you were in grad school, which you'd forgotten you'd found the other day and hung up. You miss that little robot. You keep telling yourself that one day you'll make another, but somehow you just don't. It takes a moment to realize that something's not right. It's like the opposite of a headache. Your head feels a little too light. You can't see very well. You're not sure when you stopped seeing very well. But when you think about it, you realize you can't really see anything. There's also a roaring in your ears, like static. Was I a robot all this time, you think absently? Maybe that explains everything. Help, you faintly say, but you're alone. You're sitting on a cliff next to the sea. It is the setting of the dream you first had as a graduate student, the day you started to build Sephiroth. But beside you, instead of the human-like robot of that dream, it's Sephiroth, whose beauty is not really human at all. I'm sorry, Lord of the Storm, Sephiroth says. You wanted to make someone more like a human, and you made me instead. I think I never could be the companion you wanted. The Akamura, you are up. We can select to say, it's okay, Sephiroth, you're everything I dreamed, or just tell me if you can, was it ever possible to make my perfect companion? Please select one of those 2 options. The Akamura says to say, "It's okay, Sephiroth. You're everything I dreamed." "Thank you, Lord of the Storm." Sephiroth puts its multi-tool hands around you, and the two of you sit in silence, watching the sun set. You awaken in a hospital room. It smells like cleaning agent, and the walls and countertops are bare steel, cleaned and shined until reflective. Your doctor, a woman in her 40s with slicked back black hair, smiles. "Good morning, Dr. Falk." She removes her neticle from her eye, powers it down so the little windows and numbers reflected in its glass blink off, and slips it into the pocket of her white lab coat. "Why don't you tell me what happened? I have some guesses from your scans, but I want to hear you tell it." You tell the doctor briefly about how you passed out back at your palatial mansion. You hesitate because you can still recall your dream, but it seems very personal and not necessarily relevant. "I had a dream, a familiar one." You shake your head. "Then I woke up here." "Well, I don't mean to alarm you, but you've had a stroke," the doctor says gently. "A stroke," you say in disbelief. "But I'm not that old. I'm hardly past 50. "I'm afraid the news gets worse," the doctor says. "You carry a newly identified genetic disorder called Algernon's disease. You have too many of the genes that promote neural branching and glucose consumption, which at a certain point becomes harmful." "Harmful how?" you ask. "That just seems to be a recipe for increased intelligence." "It is," the doctor says. "There have only been a handful of other cases, and they all became wealthy entrepreneurs and investors, one of whom funded the research that led to our understanding of the disease. But starting from the age 50 or so, or occasionally earlier if you're under a great deal of stress, Algernon's victims get seizures or strokes, often accompanied by hallucinatory visions." Under a great deal of stress. Could your first dream about the robot companion have been one of those episodes? You had stayed up all night, so you had assumed you simply passed out from exhaustion. What if it were one of those episodes? "But was there anything I could have done? Is there anything I can do now?" "There was nothing you did wrong," the doctor says gently. "I know it must seem as if it's your fault somehow, but nobody gets to keep on living just because they've made the right choices. Everybody dies of something." "I just wish it didn't have to come so soon," you say. The doctor nods. "Well, it may not have to. I've looked at your scans. Surgery is an option. We can either try to excise the neurons that are acting up without replacement, or just try to replace them with an artificial neural network." Whoa, lost my place. So I'd be part AI, you say speculatively. That sounds interesting. "You should be aware that most patients report a side effect of loss of emotional effect," the doctor says. "The pattern recognition of the damaged tissue would be there, but without the full suite of neurotransmitters, some of the emotional signals running around your brain would find their lines cut." The doctor looks very serious for a moment. "Also, I don't want to downplay the very real chance that you could die in surgery. A slip of the needle could trigger a final epileptic response and death. Of course, it's all done with robots these days, but you may or may not find that reassuring." You do find that reassuring, actually. You've spent a fair amount of your life perfecting robot control algorithms, though you've never been asked to bet your life on them before. "And if I don't have the surgery at all, you ask?" The doctor shrugs. "You could have 6 months or 6 years. "Kalo, you are up. We can select one of the 4 ways to go about this. We can say, I don't trust surgical technology. I prefer to live my life normally and take what comes. I will undergo surgery to remove the damaged tissue. I will undergo surgery to replace that part of my brain with a robot one. Or I will create a robot body and brain for myself. I'm not attached to this squishy meat. Please select one of those 4 options." Apparently, some of this was a reference from a book called The Flowers of Algernon. Okay. Yeah. And Nuke Piggy says this is definitely karma, and Tink and TC both +1 that. Kalo is considering the option. Like I said, the choices started to become super hard in this game. I really enjoy it. Only if you get mic'd up, because otherwise that would be a long amount of dead air. Okay, anyway. We'll deal with that later. All right, Kalo rather says robot body. New Piggy immediately responds, "Darn Kalo." Or damn Kalo, rather. The doctor raises her eyebrows. Oh, really? I can try anyway, you say. Very well, says the doctor. I will not schedule any surgery for you. Good day. You leave the hospital, eager to start your greatest project yet. You find the house too quiet for your comfort. It occurs to you that it's very late in your life for you to be alone. What will you pour for yourself? Nuked Piggy, you're up. You can pour a glass of water, a glass of wine, or a glass of scotch. Please select one of those three options. Whew. My tongue is starting to get a little tied. TC is sort of into this, since we can possibly become immortal. It'd be a hell of an ending. And so, NP, still waiting for your response. Thank you for posting the rotation, Kalo. This is great. This entire game has turned out much better than I anticipated. Like, I already had high expectations. Super awesome. I'm happy. NP selects Scotch. You go to the Scotch cabinet and pour yourself a small tumbler of some word I can't pronounce. Laprog? I don't know. What song would you like to listen to tonight? Tink, that is you. Please select Shiny Things by Tom Waits, Benjamin Britten's War Requiem, or It's Only Time by the Magnetic Fields. And I don't think I've heard any of those three songs, so I don't know what the hell they're talking about. But that's up to you, Tink. Select one of those three songs to play for us in this night as we're enjoying our scotch. I've never had scotch. I don't even know the real proper way to drink it. Like, say tequila isn't something you are supposed to drink straight, usually. You're supposed to mix it with stuff. But scotch and whiskey tend to be drank straight, and I've never had scotch. I have had whiskey. I don't usually like it straight, but it's not so bad. Have you ever had anything straight? Let's see, you've normally drank wine coolers, but I can't remember what else you've had, if anything. The Akamura is thinking. Yeah, beer's weird. Beer, it really depends on what kind it is and the temperature and stuff. Like, warm beer can be awful. But the Rolling Rock in my 6-pack was pretty good. The chocolate beers were, ugh. Anyway, Tink selects to choose Shiny Things by Tom Waits. In the background, the late Tom Waits sings a slow, melancholy song while plucking the melody on a banjo. The things a crow puts in his nest, they're always things he finds that shine best. You think about all the little robot parts you've collected over the years, scattered about your palatial mansion. Does any of them ever truly shine? No, but Sephiroth once did. Somehow he'll find a silver dime, a piece of twine from a valentine. You go to the closet and fetch a spare head for Sephiroth, which you have kept as a souvenir. You turn the thing over in your hands, but the metal thing refuses to shine. The only thing I want that shines is to be king there in your eyes. It's time for bed, you say to yourself, and be your only shiny thing. You drift to sleep. You spend the next year trying to replicate yourself down to the finest detail. Over the course of the project, however, you realize you underestimated the immensity of the task of replicating a person. When you make artificial intelligences, you use the terms like learning and memory and awareness as if they meant the same thing as human learning and memory and awareness. But trying to replicate yourself has reminded you that they aren't the same things at all, but pale imitations of those human capacities. Even Sephiroth's finest, cleverest moments were largely an illusion, fueled by your desire to have created a truly intelligent being. Meanwhile, as the year wears on, your fainting spells become more and more common. Finally, one day, you find yourself face to face with your robot double, and another fainting spell comes along, but this one is accompanied with a splitting headache. You think this might be it. This is the stroke that will kill you. But your robot double is still incomplete. Will you activate this partial, incomplete you, though it is not truly ready? TC, you have the call. You can select, yes, I can't wait any longer, I may be dying now, or no, I'm almost done, I keep working. Select one of those two options. TC says that he would love to see a half-drunk Pyro stream. I kind of want to hear, TC says since Sean's buzzed since Sean was buzzed during the 5 Nights of Freddy. Yeah, and it was great. There is actually a project I want to do while I'm half drunk and test out drunk driving and play Grand Theft Auto sober and then just slowly get more drunk over the course of the game and see if I can drive worth a damn. I might do that sometime. TC selects no, I'm almost done. I keep working. You keep working, trying to ignore your splitting headache. It's getting hard to see, and you drop your tools more than once. You just need to hook up the working memory to the long-term memory. There. And now run this cable... this cable. To your laptop to upload the decision-making software. Start that process. Whoa. You can't see the screen. Okay, it's back. Start uploading image recognition. That's a progress bar. God damn it, move, progress bar! The roaring in your ears is getting louder. You have a splitting headache. Did you just lose consciousness? You think you did. Too late to refactor the emotional code. Does it compile? Now it does. Upload. God damn it, move, progress bar! You power your double on. You'll just hotload the remaining modules. You're not going to fail just because you can't reach for the power switch. Which is good, because now you're on the floor. How'd you get down here? Did you faint? Doesn't matter. Keep working. No. Wait, are you done? You can't think of anything left to do. You're done! You're done! The roaring in your ears intensifies. You're done, thank the gods. Thank your lucky stars. Thank everything. Dimly, you see your robot double rise from the workbench. It takes a disdainful glance down at you. You want to say it is beautiful, but it is only you, and not even a pretty you at that. But it lives. Your robot double steps over your body and heads out to the great big world. You sink back to the floor and finally rest. The end. Very, very cool story. We hope you enjoyed playing Choice of Robots. We'll release new games on a regular basis. Type your email address in the bar. Yeah, hell yes. Hell yes. Way to go. Excellent story. And I want to play more for the channel. Almost finished. Yes, whatever. Okay. There are many lives you could have chosen to lead. Click on achievements above to see the paths you have yet to try. Thanks for playing. Awesome. Very cool. I'm very happy. That was one hell of a story. That was wonderful. It's weird, like, we may have doubled, but our original is now dead, but, doesn't matter. So many questions. Such an awesome game. Let's see. Nuked Piggy says, we're dead. We could have died naturally. We should have a real let's play with... Cinder, opposite of what you want. I don't think I'll revisit this game since we've already done it, but I might do a story. I might do another story game sometime where I go opposite of what I want for a real let's play. I don't think I'd want to do one of these since there's no audio, but I don't know. It worked out. Did you guys like it? Let me know, because when I originally decided to do this game for the stream, I was a little nervous since there'd be a lot of reading involved, a lot of text with no sound background, and I'm trying to practice doing cold reads more and more, trying to work on what passes for my voice acting. I hope you guys really enjoyed it, and I want to do more of these if you guys did enjoy it with more playing by committee. Super fun. As Kalo says, there are many different options. It would be difficult to choose the opposite. Yeah, I would think I worked it well enough with Cinders. I basically just thought, what do I want to do? And then just picked the option that was as close to the opposite as I could. Kalo says he liked it, but felt dragged out. Yeah, it was pretty long. It was longer than we thought it did. Let's see. But he's glad to see it's over. Does that mean you didn't like it? Oh, I see what you're saying. Like you like the story, but you're glad that we can move on to another project. Tink says it was a very, very good story. And TC's thinking about alternatives that, like, he would have fought the rebellion to the end. Very cool. And remember, you guys can pick this game up on Steam. It's like $5. Pick it up on Steam. You know what? I will not revisit this game because you guys should pick it up yourself. Support the artist. Only $5. Go buy it on Steam. If you're watching this on YouTube, links are in the video description. Play the game your way. Select different things that we didn't. Choose some of those different paths. Support the artist, Kevin Gold. And, enjoy the game. Follow those links. Yeah, Kalo clarifies, yes, exactly, more games, more different games. And it's funny that 2 weeks ago I did a game called The Mims Beginning, and I forgot to enable the game audio, so this is the third week in a row where on these streaming Sundays all you're hearing is my voice. I think my voice is passable now, but, you know, it's time for some game audio and music and stuff. So, let's see. TCS, how I got this for free. I did not get this for free. I bought this myself because it had an interesting concept. Like, the mere fact that it was this choose-your-own-adventure game, like, I was immediately thinking about doing this for the channel. So, you know, right on, I'm like, I'm going to buy it. Because at $5, like, I figured even if the game is horrible or if the story is horrible at $5, it's well worth it. But it wasn't. It turned out great. I'm super happy about this. This was awesome. And now that I know that this type of game works really well for recording, and even whether it's for committee or just for myself, I can buy more because there are more and more coming to Steam. And Kayla was even mentioning that there's a game called Choice of Dragon. I don't know if that's on Steam, but it's a similar vein where you play as a dragon, and that'd be pretty cool to check out too. On Steam, if you guys do decide to get this, the game developer, or author if you prefer, usually puts the word count in the description, and that should give you a good idea about how long it is and how long it would take to play. Now, I say it gives you a good idea because just because you have a word count doesn't necessarily mean you're going to see all of those words or a specific percentage of those words. You know, like in Choice of Robots, we bypassed at least 2 entire chapters with chapter 3, or we did chapter 6C. That implies there's an A and a B. So on the description, I think Choice of Robots is a 328,000 word huge novel. And to put that in perspective, the first Harry Potter book was 87,000 words, I believe, or 84,000 words. So, you know, this is a big one, but there was a lot that we didn't get to see because of the choices we made. And a lot of the ones that I looked at actually have even smaller ones. Have even like 100,000, 180,000. So you'll definitely want to check it out on Steam. And I hope the genre even grows so we can do more of these. But that'll be it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen, on the YouTube cut. For the Hitbox cut, I'm going to be doing an after party of Kerbal Space Program. So if you were watching this on Hitbox, feel free to stick around a bit longer. If you're watching this on YouTube, you should have joined us at Hitbox, and you could have played as well. Every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, hitbox.tv/PyroFalkon LPE. Links for the channel and the game are in the video description. So for now, for you guys on YouTube, thanks for watching, and we will see you next week for another stream.